Coming up on Good Morning Longhorns. TikTok banned or not? What's next for the popular app as a new president takes office and a legal battle brews?
Back in the White House, Donald Trump, the 45th and now 47th President of the United States, back for a second term. Takeaways from Inauguration Day and the start of the new administration.
Inside the Texas legislature, the 89th legislative session kicked off last week, and there's already nearly 3,000 bills to unpack.
Plus, the battle to be a Longhorn. Some decisions for the class of 2029 are out. A monumental year in UT admissions, but thousands are still waiting to find out whether they'll have a home on the 40.
And finally, holding on to your New Year's resolutions, how one of our own is sticking to their goal, and advice to persist through January and beyond. All of this and more coming up right here, right now on Good Morning Longhorns. Good Morning Longhorns for this Wednesday, January 22nd. I'm Gracie Kirshner.
And I'm Leah Wong. Thanks for joining us this morning and welcome back to the show. Gracie, how was your break?
It was actually really fun. I feel like now that I'm 21, living in Atlanta is not as bad as I thought it was.
Yes, so. It sounds so much fun. And maybe not the same as Fort Worth. Fort Worth is a little slower than Atlanta, but that sounds super fun. But we'll get right into it.
And yesterday, we all woke up to snow in Austin. A winter storm hit central Texas, causing snow to cover areas from Austin to Houston. Travis County only saw up to an inch.
Still, people all over campus celebrated with some snowmen and winter fun. We'll have more on the winter storm and chilly Austin weather later in the show. But the snow hasn't been the only storm of the week. The TikTok ban was a big thunderstorm for millions of young people and a total of 170 million American users. On Saturday night, TikTok went dark following a Supreme Court decision banning the app nationwide for potential security risks. But the app's death was short-lived. It was back online Sunday morning. A message on users' screens credited its revival to, quote, President Trump's efforts.
And ahead of his inauguration on Monday, President Trump proposed executive action to delay a ban on TikTok for 75 days. He also proposed a new deal in which the U.S. would hold a 50% stake in a joint venture. While TikTok's future remains unclear, the app's CEO was a front-row guest at Trump's inauguration, fielding questions of a potential partnership. I was really sad about the TikTok ban, honestly. I fall asleep to TikTok, so I literally couldn't sleep that night.
I was in full denial at first until it actually happened. It was so crazy, but I'm glad it's back up and running.
Thank goodness. Lots of news here at home this week. But first, the Israel-Hamas ceasefire took effect on Sunday, marking the first pause of fighting since it began in October 2023. 3 hostages were released from Gaza and reunited with their families. The agreement is organized into 6-week phases. The first phase will include releasing many hostages and Palestinian prisoners, while also allowing humanitarian relief into Gaza.
The distribution of these aid efforts and further phases are unclear. President Trump celebrated the release of the first hostages in his inaugural address, drawing bipartisan applause, including from former President Biden.
Speaking of the inauguration, Monday marked the start of a new era in American politics, as Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th president. The day-long event included the ceremonial transfer of power, taking of oaths by the president and the vice president-elect, and the inaugural address from President Trump.
For more on the inauguration and all of the buzz from the nation's capital, we're joined in the studio by our Anish Tiwari. Good morning, Anish.
Good morning, guys. Donald Trump's second term as President of the United States is officially underway. Former presidents, tech leaders, and various celebrities were in attendance at Monday's inauguration, which was held inside due to sub-freezing temperatures in Washington, D.C. In his inaugural address, Trump declared the start of the golden age of America, criticized the past leadership of the Biden-Harris administration, and promised policies ranging from immigration to the economy to social issues.
For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken.
Other notable moments from the inauguration included the official swearing in of the president, where Trump did not place his hand on the Bible while taking oath of office. Incoming First Lady Melania Trump's outfit drew attention, with many focusing on her wool boater-style hat. A playful interaction took place between former Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama, in which Obama joked to reporters that him and Bush would not behave themselves during the ceremony. Lastly, some key figures were absent at the ceremony, including former First Lady Michelle Obama and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Nancy Pelosi. Gracie.
Thanks, Anish. President Trump wasted no time putting his agenda into effect. In his first day back in office, Trump reversed executive actions enacted by former President Biden, issued over 1,000 pardons to participants of January 6th insurrection, and enacted executive orders including ending birthright citizenship, recognizing only two sexes, withdrawing the U.S. from the World Health Organization, and changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The White House also ordered all diversity, equity, and inclusion offices and their employees be placed on leave no later than the end of today. Legal challenges from states and cities to some of these orders have already been filed.
Senate confirmation hearings for President Trump's cabinet are underway. On Monday, the Senate unanimously voted to confirm Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, making him the first official member of Trump's new cabinet. Nominee for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and nominee for CIA Director John Ratcliffe were both approved by their respective Senate committees and will be voted on by the full Senate later this week.
And as Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick left the state to attend the inauguration on Monday, a different man was in charge of the Lone Star State. State Senator Brandon Creighton was elected President pro tempore of the Senate last Tuesday, making him acting governor while the men were in D.C. Creighton posted an official announcement on his Instagram on Saturday, stating that he would serve in that role until Tuesday. While in charge, he was responsible for ensuring that Texans remain safe and prepared amidst winter weather.
The Texas House of Representatives elected Dustin Burrows as their new speaker last week. The runoff vote between Burrows and fellow Republican Representative David Cook ended weeks of uncertainty as to who would lead the chamber. Texas Politics Project Research Director Joshua Blank says the difference between the two candidates has more to do with how they would run the chamber.
The major difference that I see in a lot of ways between Speaker Burrows versus Representative Cook when it comes to how they would have run the House is, in a lot of ways, their respect for the institution and the traditions.
Representative Gina Hinojosa, who represents the UT area, voted not present during voting during the runoff. She said in a post on X that both Burrows and Cook were certain a school voucher would pass under their leadership.
Next up for the House Speaker is legislative committee appointments. Whether or not there would be Democratic committee chairs was a point of contention in the Speaker's race. However, due to the weather, we may have to wait longer than anticipated to find out who will chair committees.
While the House is constitutionally required to convene this afternoon, they will only do so briefly, according to a memorandum from the Speaker. Over in the Texas Senate, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has already appointed only Republican chairs. Stay with us each week for coverage from the Capitol all semester long.
But here in Austin, there's new progress on the Austin Light Rail project. An environmental impact statement was released for Austin residents to view last week. The statement detailed the impacts the system will have on air quality, traffic, and surrounding properties. Local response to this plan is mixed. The feedback is being taken into account and will be added to the statement so that the project can receive federal funding. The system is expected to be running by 2033.
And in other transportation news, 6th Street opened lanes for vehicular traffic this past weekend. Previously a pedestrian-only area, from Thursday to Sunday, the city has installed rubber curbs, barricades, and flex posts to separate crowds from traffic. In the first weekend of the program, police closed the street temporarily due to potential safety issues. The decision to open up 6th Street to cars has become especially controversial following the recent New Orleans attack, where a driver plowed through large New Year's crowds on Bourbon Street and killed 14. However, the city proceeded with the change, hoping that more open lanes will improve traffic. And UT President Jay Hartzell recently announced that he will be leaving to serve as the president of Southern Methodist University, starting on June 1st. Hartzell has spent 29 years in total at UT. not just as president, but also as a student and deans of the McCombs Business School.
In his email, Hartzell remarked on all the university has accomplished and the, quote, many highlights from the past 5 years. It was also announced that Rachel Mercy, the former dean of the Moody College, will become the permanent executive vice president and provost for the tower.
And in other UT news, if you or your child applied to become a member of the class of 2029, you may have gotten some mixed signals this week about your admission decision. UT received a record 91,000 applications for this year's freshman class, compared to its nearly 73,000 last year.
Because of these unexpectedly high numbers, the admissions office did not meet its January 15th decision deadline for early action applicants. Instead, you may have seen this message postponing admissions decisions another month until February 15th. What we know for sure, no students have been rejected yet, and the word deferred was not used in the message sent to applicants. Here's what a college admissions expert had to share about the change on TikTok.
No student received a negative decision yesterday. Those who met the early action deadline but were not admitted received a notification that their final decision will be delivered on February 15th. Over the next few weeks, we will finalize our holistic review of a record 91,000 applications. During this period, there may be limited admission decision releases for smaller majors or for automatic admit-eligible students applying to specific majors.
We'll have more UT admissions updates here on Good Morning Longhorns as that February 15th deadline approaches. It's pretty crazy. I know, like, when I was out of state and applying, I was so worried about the rolling application deadline. So now that they have a set deadline, I feel like I would go crazy opening my portal and still not knowing.
Yes, I mean, the unexpectedness of it all is insane to me, and so I'm really interested to see how it all goes about, like, as these deadlines keep approaching.
Also, 20,000 more applicants this year is crazy.
The competition is getting stiff for UT admissions, that's for sure.
And after the break, we'll dive into the winter storm that surely impacted our week here in Austin. Your local forecast is next.
Welcome back. It's been a pretty chill week so far, with some snow, of course, earlier.
It's been cold out lately, right? Our Priel Tower is joining us on set with more on the wintry weather we saw, plus your local forecast. Priel?
Thanks, Gracie. A winter storm hit on central Texas on Monday and trickled down to the Gulf Coast. Parts of central and southeast Texas, including Austin, woke up to sheets of snow and sleet. Some areas of Austin saw 4 inches to 6 inches of snow, more than enough for some snow angels and snowmen. But even though we're done with the snow, it's still going to be pretty chilly here in Austin. Today we see a high of 48 and a low of 23. Tomorrow it picks up a little bit with a high of 51 and a low of 32. Ending the week, we'll see a high of 55 and a low of 29 on Friday. This weekend's going to be pretty gloomy with a high of 56 and a low of 35 on Saturday, and there's a chance of rain on Sunday with a high of 58 and a low of 49. The clouds continue on to next week with the highs of 54 and lows in the mid-40s on Monday and Tuesday. That's all we have for the weather here in Austin. However, weather conditions are even more intense in the West Coast. As you all know, a series of wildfires have been spreading throughout Southern California. The fires have been active for the past 2 weeks and are fueled by the dry air and strong winds. Of the fire, the Palisades have been the largest, covering over 23,000 acres in Los Angeles. The fires have been some of the worst in California history, according to the California Fire Protection Agency. It has also been reported that over 10,000 structures have been damaged and over 200,000 people were given evacuation orders. Currently, 63% of the Palisades have been contained, but the damage is also set to get worse with predicted rainfall, leading to floods with the ashes and debris. To help those affected by the fires, visit lacity.gov for different ways to help out. We'll have more on how to help later in the show. I'm Priel Talwar from the Weather Center. Back to you guys.
Jumping into sports now, the Ohio State Buckeyes defeated Notre Dame Monday night, becoming the first winner of the 12-team college football playoff. They won 34-23.
Quarterback Will Howard threw for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns to give them the win. Notre Dame put up a fight, making it a one-score game in the fourth quarter, but a reception by Jeremiah Smith secured their fate in the end. This was a big win for Coach Ryan Day, who some thought could lose his gig after continuing the team's losing streak against rival Michigan.
With the Longhorns football season coming to a close at the Cotton Bowl, it's time for players to declare for the NFL Draft. So far, 13 players have declared, most notably our quarterback Quinn Ewers. Other players include defensive back Jahdae Barone, who won the Thorpe Award this year, and Isaiah Bond, the Alabama transfer.
But don't worry, not everyone is leaving. Safety Michael Taff announced that his time with UT is not done, and he is returning for another year. The deadline to declare was January 16th, meaning we will have to wait 1 more month to see our Longhorns in the NFL Combine. Speaking of players coming and going, what about Coach Steve Sarkisian? Despite interest from the pros, Texas and Coach Sark have agreed to a new 7-year deal. This adds a year to his current deal, while also giving him a significant raise.
In his 4 seasons currently as coach, Sark has gone 38-17. Sark has been at Texas since 2021, and before he was Alabama's offensive coordinator. And moving on to basketball, the men's team has a 12-6 ranking. Texas has not been able to beat a ranked team yet this season, except for last night when we beat number 22, Mizzou. We've lost to teams like Tennessee, Auburn, and Florida. On a positive note, though, the Longhorns did beat Missouri last night 61-53. UT can win some more games, hopefully, before the tournament selection.
When it comes to women's basketball, the Longhorns are on fire. The Longhorns are ranked number 7 and crushed the number 8 ranked Maryland Terrapins 89-51. This win should probably bring up their overall seeding. Their next game is against number 17 Tennessee tomorrow at 8 p.m.
And speaking of basketball, the NCAA will now pay Division I women's basketball teams who play in March Madness games starting this year. Now, women's teams will receive performance units for every game they play in the NCAA tournament.
Men's basketball teams have been taking part of this for years, but now women get to do the same. The unanimous vote was made to help close the pay gap in college sports. In other exciting news, Jason McClellan, professor in the Department of Molecular Biosciences, has been selected for induction into the National Inventors Hall of Fame for his work that led to the development of vaccines to fight COVID-19 and respiratory syncytial virus. He'll be inducted May 8th, and President Jay Hartzell said, quote, Jason McClellan's research and technologies helped save lives around the globe and restore our way of life after the darkest days of the pandemic.
Zachariah Page, an assistant professor of chemistry and in the McKenna Department of Chemical Engineering at UT, has also made a huge accomplishment lately, having been awarded the Presidential Early Career Award for scientists and engineers. It is the highest honor bestowed by the U.S. government on outstanding scientists and engineers early in their careers. Page's work has made advances in engineering tissue for health uses and in 3D printing.
As Priyal mentioned, the Los Angeles wildfires continue devastating Southern California. As the world watches in devastation, we have a personal message from one of our very own who grew up in the Palisades, plus more on how you can help. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Good Morning Longhorns. As Priyal mentioned earlier, California wildfires continue raging on, and Southern California is in need of help. While many celebrities have shared the devastating losses of their homes and personal items on social media, it's not just big stars feeling the impact.
One of those affected is our very own Coco Kennedy, who is abroad in Spain this semester, but is from the Palisades, the epicenter of the fires. Coco sent us a brief message about how UT students can help make an impact as SoCal rebuilds.
The devastating Southern California wildfires have impacted my family and community, but I'm grateful to say that my family is safe. However, the damage is significant and many are in need of support for their relief efforts and to rebuild. UT students can help by donating their essential items, funds, or even their time for volunteer hours. Every donation makes a difference. If you feel inclined to donate, please visit our GoFundMe for the Palisades community and look at the Los Angeles County volunteer website. Together, we can all make a difference and help support our UT Southern California students. Thank you.
We did want to note that some classes for the UTLA program were moved remote and some internships or studio tours included in the program were delayed. But thankfully, the program center in Burbank is outside of the evacuation zone and is safe. Thank you, Coco, for your message. Many celebrities like Beyonce, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Taylor Swift are making million-dollar donations to aid relief efforts. The Weeknd also made a donation while postponing his new album release out of respect for the people of LA.
As award season gets underway, people are also questioning whether those big nights should still take place. The Recording Academy announced that the Grammys will still be held February 2nd, but the Motion Picture Academy extended the Oscars voting window. Musicians are also pledging their support for California, coming together January 30th for a mega concert to support those affected. Fire Aid, a benefit concert split between the Kia Forum and the Intuit Dome in LA, will feature headliners Billie Eilish, Lady Gaga, Green Day, Jelly Roll, and Stevie Nicks, among others.
Tickets go on sale today at 2 p.m. Central. The show will be available to stream online and at select AMC theaters, with proceeds going to recovery efforts.
UT has had faces like Glenn Powell and Matthew McConaughey on the big screen, but now a fixture of the small screen is getting ready to bring his collection to Austin. The university's Harry Ransom Center received the collection of Saturday Night Live creator Lorne Michaels. It includes old rehearsal notes and even an annotated script from Mean Girls, which Michaels also produced. The exhibit is set to run from September through next March. It'll be fully available for research starting in January 2026.
The Bland Museum of Art set a new record of visitors totaling more than 260,000. That tops pre-pandemic records and comes after a massive redesign. New features include an outdoor seating area and sound gallery. The Blanton also added more opportunities for UT students to visit with free admissions days. This year, the museum is set to open a new cafe and unveil 2 new exhibitions. And another change has occurred in the food industry, with the FDA announcing a ban on red dye number 3. Researchers found that the dye can cause cancer after a test on a group of lab rats. While the FDA announced the ban last Wednesday, it's important to keep an eye out for the red dye because the administration suggests to keep an eye out for them in sodas, candies, and snacks that have bright red colors. So be on the lookout when you're in the grocery aisle. But have you stuck with your New Year's resolutions? We're just 2 weeks into the new year, and one member of the Good Morning Longhorns team is determined to stick to her biggest 2025 goal. We're back in 2 minutes.
Welcome back to Good Morning Longhorns. I'm Priyal Talwar, and with the new year finally here, as we approach almost the end of the month, I thought it would only be fitting to talk about the New Year's resolutions and their impact. According to the psychological assessment resources, having a fresh start, like a new calendar year, when implementing goals makes it more likely for them to stick. Humans naturally have a drive for fulfillment and self-actualization, so providing benchmarks for ourselves helps hold us accountable. Gracie, Leah, any New Year's resolutions? What did we create for ourselves?
Honestly, I don't really have any other than I really want to work out a few days a week. But my roommate Asha, she's doing 75 hard, and also dry January.
That's a commitment.
Being around, no, I know, and being around it makes me feel like I really need to do something.
Absolutely, yes.
And then For me,
Yeah,
I
what are you
think
thinking?
just trying to read more. I enjoy reading, but I think with the busyness of the school year, I never find enough time for it. So I think
Absolutely.
I'm going to try this year to section some time in my day to read, whether it's during the day or at night.
Awesome. That's so good. I'm so glad for your resolutions. I think hopefully they go well, and I think you guys got it for sure.
Oh, I hope so.
But that's all we have for the time we have this Wednesday. Thank y'all so much for joining us. I'm Gracie Kirshner.
And I'm Leah Wong. From all of our Good Morning Longhorns team, we'll see you back here next week. For Campus First News, you can follow us on Instagram at Good Morning Longhorns and check out our refreshed website at tstvnews.com. Have a great Wednesday.